Hello everyone, coming at you with an unedited video today to talk about massage, acupuncture, chiropractic care, and similar modalities. So some of you guys have asked me multiple questions about these particular types of treatments and whether they help with chronic dizziness. And some of you have asked me why they do seem to temporarily help with symptoms but don't seem to fully resolve them. So I want to start by saying that I am not anti any of these types of treatments. Ultimately, if they help with symptom relief temporarily, that can be really, really good. And I don't want you to have to suffer any more than you have to during this recovery process. That said, there are some caveats and some downsides to using these types of treatments that I'll talk about more toward the end of the video. So to start off with, yes, these types of treatments can actually help temporarily relieve the symptoms of chronic dizziness, but not really for the reason that you're being told, in my opinion. So the way that many medical professionals and other healthcare professionals look at problems like chronic dizziness is they are stuck in this structural mindset. So we've talked about this before, and I called it biomedical bias. But basically, what I'm getting at here is that many of these types of professionals who provide these services are trained to look at you and try to find a structural problem that explains the symptoms that you're having. Now, again, this makes a whole lot of sense for something like a broken bone or an old wound or scar tissue, but it doesn't make as much sense for something like neural circuit dizziness or neural circuit pain, because basically those types of symptoms are not being generated in the body. They're being generated centrally. In other words, they're being generated by the neural circuit or the nervous system. And the nervous system is what's keeping those symptoms going. So why these modalities can help you temporarily is an open question to some extent, but I think I have a pretty good explanation that might make sense to you guys. So as we've talked about when we've talked about the causes of neural circuit dizziness, one of the things that we often talk about directly is fight or flight mode. In other words, your body being in threat mode, and how that not only produces physiological changes in your body, so it changes blood flow, it makes your heart beat faster, and a lot of other issues and symptoms that we've talked about in previous videos, but it also tends to cause prediction errors in your brain. In other words, your brain is biased toward looking for danger, and that leads to it activating danger signals based on stimuli or outside information that may not be dangerous. That's what neural circuit dizziness is essentially. It's your brain overreacting with a fear response or a danger response to something or like normal movement or head turning that shouldn't normally cause that kind of danger response. So because fight or flight mode involves changes in blood flow, which again is something that's very well understood, and an example I've often given in previous videos is that you've noticed sometimes that your hands get cold when you're nervous about a big presentation, perhaps. So again, you're familiar with the fact that your blood flow changes when you're in fight or flight mode. Those changes in blood flow don't just lead to cold hands. They can also lead to tension and tightness in your body and even muscle spasms. And this is something that Dr. John Sarno talks about in a lot of his work. So his theory on chronic pain is that it's caused by exactly that. And this was before the neuroscience and a lot of the things that we know now about how neural circuits work. He theorized that it was that change in blood flow in response to some kind of threat, and in his opinion, that was generally related to emotions. The muscle would be deprived of oxygen temporarily, and that would lead to a spasm that was very painful. So if we think of it this way, if your brain is stuck in threat mode and there is some change in blood flow, that can lead to tension and tightness and trigger points that these professionals, acupuncturists, chiropractors, massage therapists, are trained to look for. And these are related to your neural circuit dizziness because they're all coming from the same cause, which is threat mode, fear mode, danger mode, whatever you want to call it. When someone starts working on that tension, those tense points, it could have two potential effects. And this is my theory about why it can help relieve symptoms. First, it reduces danger mode. When you're in the hands of a caring professional, and again, this is not just fluffiness, this is legit science. We know that human connection and feeling like you're being cared for reduces the threat signal in your body. And we've probably not talked about this much on the channel, but you can read more about polyvagal theory if you're interested in learning more about how that works. But regardless, having the touch and the care of a caring professional alone, focused on the parts of your body where you're hurting, can reduce threat mode. When threat mode goes down, all symptoms go down, not just the tension or the tightness. And I keep pointing to my neck. It's not always in your neck, but a lot of you have issues with your neck. It can also reduce that neural circuit dizziness as well. So that's one potential explanation that I think works really well. The other explanation, and this is again my theory, but I think it makes a lot of sense in light of what we know about neural circuit pain. When you have a change in blood flow, my theory is it's not just affecting the tension and the tightness and causing issues with your neck, it's affecting blood flow to your head altogether. And the blood supply to your inner ears is quite small, it's quite delicate. I can imagine how even a slight change in that blood flow to your inner ear might temporarily affect how your inner ears work, or other apparatuses that are involved in your vestibular systems or in your balance system. So if tension, tightness, reduced blood flow is actually part of the cause of your dizziness, so in other words, the brain prediction that something bad's going to happen is actually putting you in kind of this bad loop where that actually impairs function, and then it feeds back to the brain and the brain says, yep, things are bad, and it kind of just keeps escalating from there. If that's happening, increasing blood flow temporarily, which is what massage, acupuncture, and chiropractic care might do, that might directly relieve symptoms of dizziness. But as always, if the brain is still in threat mode, that tension and tightness are going to come back. So either way you look at it, whether based on theory one, fear mode comes back up because we haven't actually resolved any of the issues that are leading to threat mode via these physical modalities, you're going to have an increase again in dizziness. Or based on theory number two, as the muscles start to tighten back up because you're in threat mode, that leads to this, again, reversible temporary impairment of your vestibular system that feeds back into your brain and keeps that cycle of threat and fear going. So in either case, the remedy for this is to deal with the threat mode directly. And that is, of course, outside of the scope of this particular video because pretty much every other video on my channel talks about this. So you can check those out. I'll link to some options in the description below so you can check those out as well. As far as the downside of these modalities, so I think, again, that it is perfectly reasonable to not want to have to deal with symptoms all day, every day. But if you're not dealing with the underlying issue and you're also getting feedback from the person working on you that there's something wrong with your body and that's causing all these issues, I think it's going to make it a lot harder for you to get yourself out of threat mode. In other words, these well-meaning professionals who are incredibly good at helping you deal with wounds and injuries, things like that, post-surgery, they're going to look at your neural circuit dizziness in the same way, which again is not really accurate for something that's neuroplastic. So when someone very well-meaning says something to you like, yeah, boy, your neck muscles are so tight, we got to fix that. Once we fix that, we're going to resolve this dizziness issue. That's sending you a message of fear. It's sending you a message of threat that there's something wrong with your body. And for some people, that can be harmful rather than helpful. So my advice here is to just kind of think about this for yourself. If you think you can look at massage, acupuncture, chiropractic care, those kinds of things as helpful, as symptom relief so that you can work on these other issues that are leading to threat mode, then go for it. And if you think that the person you're working with might actually increase your fear of something being horribly wrong with your body, then it may not be a great idea for now. I hope that was helpful for you guys and that answered your questions. So if you've got more questions, please comment, please ask them below. And of course, as always, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.